Dear students, welcome to session 6 of Operating System Principles, which is prescribed for BSc 4th semester studying under Rani Chennamma University. In today's session, we are going to study about what is process, what are the different process states, and process state diagram. Let us see each of this concept step by step. So first one is process. So it can be defined as a programming execution. It means whenever you are executing any program, so whatever uh, flow of execution is associated with that program is known as process. So process execution must progress in sequential fashion. Sequential fashion means one after other. A process is defined as an entity which represents the basic unit of work to be implemented in the system. So it forms as a basic unit of work. To put it in a simple terms, we write our computer programs in a text file, and when we execute this program, it becomes a process. Suppose for examples, you all are familiar with C programming. Suppose if you want to execute a program of finding average of two numbers, then that will be stored in a file, and whenever you are executing that file using turbo C or turbo C++, that will become a process. Program is passive entity stored on a disk, whereas process is a active entity. Program becomes process when executable file loaded into the memory. So there is a narrow difference between a program and a process. So you can say that program is passive entity, whereas process is active entity. Active entity means in currently it is being executed. So whenever you are loading a program into the memory for the execution, it will become a process. Execution of a program started via GUI such as mouse clicks, command line entry of its name, etc. Means you can pass the commands with the help of mouse clicks or with the help of command line interface. One program can be several processes. Suppose if you are executing one program, there can be n number of processes associated with the one program. Consider multiple users executing the same program. Process in memory. When a program is loaded into the memory and it becomes a process, it can be divided into four sections. That is, one is stack, second one is a heap, third one is text, and the fourth one is data. The following image shows a simplified layout of a process inside a main memory. This is how process looks in a main memory. You have stack, then there is a heap area, then there is a data, then there is a text. So what do you mean by these components? First one is a stack. The process stack contains the temporary data such as method, function, parameters, return address, and local variables. So in stack, you will be storing temporary data such as method, function parameters, return address, and local variables. Whereas in heap area, you will be storing, this is a dynamically allocated memory to a process during its runtime. Suppose if you are executing a program, whenever you are executing a program, it will become a process, and that time whatever memory is allocated, that will be allocated in the heap area. Next one is text. This includes the current activity represented by the value of a program counter and the contents of the processor register. So in text, what are the things you are including? It contains the value of program counter and the processor's registers. Fourth one is data. This section contains the global and static variables. So all of you have already studied what are global variables, static variables in C programming. So those things are stored in a data section. Next is very important concept that is known as process state. Whenever you are executing a process, it goes through n number of states, and that forms a process state. So a process have the following states. One is new, it means the process is being created. So whenever you are creating a process for the first time, it will be in new state. Running state, instructions are being executed. It means running means that time your process has started its execution. Next one is waiting. The process is waiting for some event to occur. Sometimes you are executing sometime, and suddenly what you need to do is you have to wait for certain events to happen, and whatever time a process is waiting for that event to happen, that time the process will be in waiting state. Next one is ready state. The process is waiting to be assigned to a processor. So process is executed with the help of processor. So the processor should give a time for executing that process. So unless and until a process is assigned to a processor, you cannot execute a process. So that whatever time the process is waiting to get attention of processor, that time it will be in ready state. And the finally it is a terminated state. The process has finished its execution. So once again we will go through this. There are 5 states. One is a new state, that is nothing but when the process is created. Running means actually the process has started the execution. Waiting means the process is waiting for certain events to occur. Ready means the process is waiting for processor to assign to it. And the last one is terminated means the process has completed its execution. So you can see the process state with the help of a diagram, and this diagram is known as process state transition diagram. You can see towards the left hand side there is a new state, and there are different methods. Admitted, whenever you call that method, it will go into the ready state, and from ready state it will enter into the running state. Running state means where exactly the process has started executing. Whenever it is in running state, if an interrupt occurs, it moves into again ready state. Whenever the process is in ready state or running state, it will move into waiting state. If it is in ready state, uh, and if it is in running state, it will move into the waiting state by an IO or an event. So whenever it is in waiting state, you can move that into again ready state with the help of again input output or event. Once the process has completed its execution, it will move into the terminated state, and that time we will be using a method known as exit. So whatever depicted or shown in oval are nothing but the process states, and whatever written on the top of the arrow shows the different methods which will be used during the different process state transition. So let us summarize what all we have studied in today's session. We have started with the process. So process is nothing but programming execution. Then we have seen different process states such as new state, ready state, running state, waiting state, and the last one is terminated state. And finally we have seen the process state diagram and how the processes move from one state to another state. So these are the different books and web references which you can use for additional reading. Thank you.